Hey yo, y'all, it's Brian here. Today, talking about the San Francisco 49ers. In this one, doing something a little bit special for you guys, a tier list. I know a lot of people do this on YouTube and TikToks and everything like that, but wanted to do one myself, talking about the 49ers. I think this is a pretty cool way to try to get uh, something new, something interesting on my channel, and to do a tier list, talk about the history of the 49ers. I like that, and I hope you guys do as well. A lot of rich and ugly history about the 49ers. Right now, in recent years, it's been pretty rich, but some other years, we've had some really, really down years. And yeah, I've been through a lot of it. I mean, some of these guys are from the older times before Bill Walsh. Even Bill Walsh himself, I wasn't alive for any of his runs for the Super Bowl. George Seifert also wasn't alive for most of it. I think he might have coached the 49ers a year or two after, or that was Steve Mariucci. But anyways, going hodgepodge of all these head coaches that coached the 49ers, this great franchise, 5 Super Bowl wins, many Super Bowl appearances. And yeah, let's just get this started. So first up, we're going to start with Jack Christensen. This is from 1963 to all the way until now, if you're wondering, all these head coaches. But Christensen is the first guy on the list. He coached the 49ers from 1963 to 1967, had a 26 to 38 and 3 record, 41 winning percentage. Put him in D tier. Nothing spectacular, nothing terrible, I guess you want to call it, but a little bit below average. But what more can you ask for? So if you guys are older fans that were able to experience these 49er years, please let me know if I got this right or wrong. Next up, Monty Clark. I think it's a little bit out of place right here. He coached 1 year for the 49ers. This is when Eddie DeBartolo took over ownership of the 49ers in 77, and he hired Joe Thomas. I read some of this documentary stuff, and it was not good years. Those were some of the worst years in 49er history at that time. And he gets a C tier. He actually had an 8-6 year. He could have probably had more coaching years under him, but a lot of instability with ownership. Eddie at that time, he was kind of like Jed York when he took over full time for the 49ers in the 2010s, and he was learning his way. And once he found Bill Walsh, that's when it kind of stabilized. But for a few years, Eddie DeBartolo was very clueless on how to run the 49ers, and yeah, it showed with Monty Clark not wanting to be there anymore after he got hired, and Joe Thomas was the GM for the team, and he's very volatile from all accounts back in the day. So Monty Clark could have been higher on the list, but only 1 year, so you can't go any higher, any lower. 8-6, a winning record, I guess you want to call it. So that's pretty good right there. Dick Nolan, I believe he should get a B tier. By the way, there you go, Mike Nolan. He was the head coach of the 49ers in 2003, 2004, 2005, I believe. So in the mid-2000s, he took over for Dennis Erickson. That's his father right there, Dick Nolan. He was the coach of the 49ers. He had some pretty good years for the 49ers. I'd say the one thing he couldn't do was get over the hump. He couldn't beat the Cowboys. I believe he lost to the Cowboys 3 times in a row in the playoffs. But when you have playoff runs, when you turn a team around like he did, you deserve a little bit higher on the list. If you would have made it to the conference championship or the Super Bowl, I'd probably put him up a little bit higher. But in my opinion, I think a B tier is perfect. He did win Coach of the Year in 1970, so that does deserve a little bit of recognition right there. But yeah, other than that, I thought he was a pretty good coach based on history. Again, if you're an older 49er fan that was able to experience these 49er teams, let me know in the comments below. But, based on with all the records and all the playoff runs he's been and turning this team around, got to give him a B, and I think that's pretty fair. Next up, Ken Meyer. Only coached 1 year for the 49ers. Give him a D tier. Nothing too crazy right there. Pete McCauley, he also coached 1 year. This was instability right there. I'll give him an F tier just because he was only 1-8, so that's pretty unimpressive right there. It's pretty bad. That's pretty much like some of the other guys coming up in the 2010s. So yeah, there you have it right there. All right, first up, a lot of these guys I know from Bill Walsh all the way till now. I guess you can say the 49ers started in 1980 when Bill Walsh got hired, 79, or late 70s, early 80s, the Super Bowl runs. And you know where I'm going to put Mr. Bill Walsh. There's no other place to put him. S tier. Easy money right there. 3 Super Bowl wins. Always winning. Got Joe Montana, got Jerry Rice, all these guys, very talented. And there's really no other explaining to do if you're a 49er fan. This guy is synonymous with the team. He created that dynasty team in the 80s. All of them. I wish I was alive to see the 1980s and 90s 49ers. I was not around at that time, so it's kind of a bummer. I have to just rely on highlights and stuff like that. But all the stories that all the 49er fans tell me and all the tape that I've been able to watch from Joe Montana and down, I mean, you could tell his imprint is all over the team, and he made the 49ers credible to the way it is today. And his offense, the West Coast offense, is still run today to this day. Not exactly his West Coast offense, but iterations of it. And I mean, that's just an architect, an innovator of not just for the 49ers, but also the NFL as well. And the Bengals, they missed out on him big time. They did not hire him when Paul Brown retired. They hired a guy named Bill Tiger Johnson, if you guys know who he is. And yeah, he beat his team twice in the Super Bowl at that time with Ken Anderson and who was the quarterback? Boomer Esiason, I believe, in those two Super Bowls, and also beat Dan Marino's Dolphins. So yeah, he's built up a resume for the 49ers, and he's pretty much the greatest 49er coach we ever had, honestly. So yeah, Bill, I mean, Kyle can maybe make a run for his money if he wins some Super Bowls, but for right now, Bill Walsh is the absolute number one coach that the 49ers have ever had and still has to this day. Next up, George Seifert. Yep, you got to put him in S tier. If you're a 49er fan, you love this guy, but if you're a Panther fan, I know you hate this guy so much, and that's probably why he's not in the Hall of Fame right now, is because of his tenure with the Carolina Panthers. But going back to Seifert, took over for Bill Walsh after Walsh retired, won the Super Bowl the next year, was even better in his first year than Bill Walsh was. I mean, I believe they went, 14 or 15-1, destroyed the Denver Broncos, one of the biggest Super Bowl victories by a wide margin, 55-10. I believe that's still the biggest margin in NFL history in terms of a big win like that. 90s, Steve Young took over, won another Super Bowl in 1994, that last Super Bowl victory for the 49ers. And yeah, a very, very accomplished coach for the 49ers, defensive coordinator prior to his head coaching tenure with the team, and he was Bill Walsh's defensive coordinator. So yeah, a very good guy, great coach for the 49ers. And yeah, I mean, if this was the Carolina Panthers tier list, he'd probably be an F- tier. But with the 49ers being able to steer the ship and be able to keep the Bill Walsh tradition alive up until 94, 95, you got to give him an S tier. Won a Super Bowl, actually two technically, with the 49ers, and what more can you ask for, right? Next up, Steve Mariucci took over for Seifert, I believe, in 97, 98. I don't know my years completely. I mean, this is when I was a baby and when I was still younger. Mariucci, I'd probably give him B tier. I think that's pretty fair right there. Let me put it right there. There you go. Mariucci was able to stabilize after George Seifert, and he had some great years with the 49ers, T.O., all that cool lollygag, Jeff Garcia, and to be able to have still great years under him after Seifert left. I mean, those were some pretty big shoes to fill after two Hall of Fame coaches, I would say. He did a pretty good job, in my opinion. And the funny thing is, after he got fired in 2002, the 49ers were very, very bad for a very long time. And we got a trio of head coaches in between Mariucci and Harbaugh, where, yeah, it was pretty bad after the 49ers fired him. I guess, I don't know what the beef was. Maybe no playoff wins or something like that. But still, I mean, to get rid of a coach like that at that time, pretty disappointing. And, yeah, you could tell the disappointment for the next 8 years from 2003 to 2010, and then 2011 Jim Harbaugh came. So next up, Darius Erickson, came from college, or I believe, was it Seattle Seahawks or in college or whatever. He was I believe, a national champion in the University of Miami. So he's a college coach, so that's always interesting there. If I had to pick tier list, I'd probably put him in the F tier. Very bad, after having to try to live up to Steve Mariucci and stuff like that. Just did not work out. I don't know, just was not a great tenure. Mike Nolan, I'd probably give him F tier as well. Not a great tenure, not like his dad. And I believe he had a debate about wearing a suit during football games at that time. It wasn't really a thing anymore. During his dad's time, they were able to wear suits like a professional for head coaches. And, now, 2005 all the way until now, you're able to wear just like team gear, which I always like personally more than a suit. I always thought the suit was more inclined for the general manager and executives, but for a head coach, I believe, just something casual, nothing too out of the world, like business professional. But, people disagree with me maybe on the newer generation of guys. But yeah, Mike Nolan had a thing. He wanted to keep the tradition alive with his dad, but hey, that's the only thing I remember about him. But yeah, pretty bad years. Alex Smith was under him, I believe, and yeah, Alex was not great with the 49ers just because of the injuries and just the many changes, the turnovers that the 49ers have had at that time. And it took a while for Alex to be really respectable in the NFL. Next up, Mike Singletary, Hall of Fame player from the Chicago Bears, 85 Bears, architect of the 85 46 defense. Got to give him a D tier. I think he wasn't the best coach, but he also laid the foundation on the Jim Harbaugh days, I believe. He had the great players. He made Vernon Davis a great player. He was a very selfish guy at that time, and Mike Singletary had that famous "I want winners." I'm pretty sure you guys know the press conference for him after that game. Vernon was just a diva at that time, and he learned to be a team player under Mike Singletary. But it's easy to relate because Singletary used to be a player. He used to be one of the all-time greats, and Vernon would listen to that. And it's kind of weird because his playing days should translate to success as a head coach, but since he was such a great player, he probably asked too much of his players that were not the best players, that were just role players, to be Hall of Fame players. It's just not like that, and a lot of coaches fail like that, that are all-time great players but just terrible head coaches because they can't relate to the role players and they expect everybody to play like them when they were players. And I think that was the problem with Mike Singletary at that time. So please let me know if you guys agree or disagree. But I put him in the D tier because he didn't have the best record with the 49ers, but he also laid the foundation to the great years that we're about to have right here, right now. Next up, Jim Harbaugh, the guy that we got from Stanford. He used to be an NFL quarterback at that time. And yeah, I mean, there was a lockout year in 2011, so there was a lot of expectations that the 49ers were going to be really bad under Jim his first year. And no, they were actually really, really good. Like, really, really good. Like, along with Vic Fangio, the 3-4 years he was with the 49ers, those were some of the best years that we had since, I'd say, Steve Mariucci a little bit, and more George Seifert, going to championship games, going to the Super Bowl for the first time in a very, very long time. Didn't win it, but hey, I mean, I'm still always appreciative of having great success. And yeah, he got let go by the 49ers a few years later after a dispute with general manager Trent Baalke that went really well. So definitely A tier. If he would have stayed a little bit longer, I probably could have put him in S tier, but since he wasn't there that long, not his fault. It was ownership's fault at that time, Jed York and them. He was started learning like Eddie DeBartolo back in the day on how to be a good owner. He probably would have been higher up. I probably believe that he could win a Super Bowl for the 49ers at that time had he stayed longer. We had a down year in 2014. I think that was his last year. 8-8 year, but still a very respectable 8-8 year considering all the injuries and stuff like that, and just a lot of turmoil. I'm pretty sure he was stressed out about this whole power struggle thing with Trent Baalke, and it's funny because he won the power struggle, but then the 49ers were just terrible a few years later. So I believe Jim Harbaugh should have won that power struggle. He probably would have done even greater things for the 49ers, but unfortunately just wasn't meant to be. And A tier, I think that's pretty fair for what he's done for the 49ers. If you would have won that Super Bowl, definitely S tier. Next up, Jim Tomsula. Let's talk about some down years. I don't know. We've always had some highs and lows, and we're getting back to the lows from the 2000s. So Jim Tomsula definitely deserves an F tier. Just was not qualified to be a head coach for the 49ers. Actually, fun fact, if you didn't know, I believe Mike Singletary got fired near the last game of the season. Jim Tomsula took over as the interim head coach and went 1-0. So maybe that was a kindred spirit to Jed York. He's like, oh, he was a head coach before, won one game. He'll probably be a great head coach after Jim Harbaugh. And yeah, those are some big shoes to fill. I don't know if anybody was excited for this hiring. I mean, it did kind of make sense, sort of, because he was an internal hire. He knew the 49ers team, but he just was not qualified to be a head coach. And I heard he's a very nice guy. Outside of football, but just football-wise, just was out of his league, honestly. So, yeah, F tier, Jim Tomsula. I remember those years. And I think one time he farted in press conference. I know that's just kind of a weird random fact, but he did fart one time to... I don't know. I'm stupid. Anyways, next up, Chip Kelly. Definitely F tier as well. A lot of turmoil. 2016, 2-14. I remember that. Not a great year for the 49ers, and yeah, just a one-and-done head coach, and these two were one-and-done under Jed York. And we go to the granddaddy of them all, of our generation, my generation, Kyle Shanahan, from 2017 all the way until now. A ton of success with the 49ers. The first 2 years was a bit of a struggle, especially 2017, but unlike Aaron Glenn right now in the New York Jets, the 49ers were actually still kind of competitive. They were showing progress and stuff like that. Robert Saleh was just a first-time defensive coordinator, and it was not working out. Actually, a lot of people wanted Robert Saleh to be gone. Even I was in camp a little bit, but you got to be a little bit patient in the NFL. I know it's hard to do that, and even back in those days, it was hard to be patient. But yeah, it worked out, and so far, Kyle Shanahan with, I believe, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 2019, 2023, lots of NFC Championship appearances. This year, 2025, maybe on his way to going to the promised land. I don't want to guarantee it yet, but yeah, I mean, he's just been a fantastic coach for the 49ers. This was probably the toughest one, honestly. He's had so much success. He's won a lot of football games. He's been to many, many championships, 2 Super Bowls, but he didn't win any of it yet. So this one, you guys don't have to tell me about this one. Is it S tier or A tier? For right now, I'll put him in A tier, but I'll put him over Jim Harbaugh just for right now because of the fact that he's been to multiple Super Bowls. He's kept a consistent winning going on. And yes, we've had some down years, the COVID year, 2024 last year. But other than that, he's been just absolutely great. And I think this is one of his best coaching years of his tenure right now in 2025 with Fred Warner, Nick Bosa being out. And to will these guys into great victories, what more can you ask for, right? So, yeah, maybe in a month or two, if the 49ers can do it all the way, he can go all the way into the S tier. But for right now, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, and I'm hoping he does really, really soon, as soon as possible. But as of right now, as of this recording, I'm going to put him in the A tier and above Jim Harbaugh just a little bit, just because he's had a longer tenure and more Super Bowl appearances than Jim. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys, let me know what you guys think about this tier list. Was I accurate? Was I inaccurate? Let me know about these guys in the early 49er years. You guys probably know these years more than me. I mean, from Bill Walsh all the way to Kyle Shanahan is a little bit easier for a lot of us because we were alive in the 2010s and now 2020s. So yeah, love to hear what you guys have to say, and I hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed a new concept, and I'll catch you guys up later. Talk more about the 49ers and Seahawks game on Saturday. Love you guys as always. Happy New Year, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye, guys. You guys have a good one.